Mystical level 6. The highest level is now the one where you realize that being in shape is not the last thing. When I talk about levels now, I don't see it as an alternative that one has to be destroyed, but rather as something feminine again, like a cake. So the physical body is good, it's a layer of cake. Otherwise, the following layers of cream would all be mud. So it would just flow together, then there would be good separating layers, maybe buttercream and something like that. And then so that the fruit doesn't sink in again. So we are diverse. In fact, as humans and with each level, we have access to a certain system. And now the highest level is that of formlessness. Indians also say Brahman is Atman. The Buddhist again form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. You are God and human at the same time. So this creed would be Deos, would be Homo, light from the true light. We also have a more detailed creed. Speak it about yourself and sing Christmas carols about yourself. So that is this goal, also unity, as a formed, completely limited being with the highest level of formlessness. And again it is participation. In original Greek theology, the concept of salvation is methexis, participation. It's not about the transfer of sins and such a deal and recognition, but there is something there. Already belongs to us, and so we also participate in the being of formlessness. That is the Father, the unformed. He creates the world in the Son. These are ancient Christian attempts at formulation, and insofar as this human form is the first visible form in which we recognize the unformed Father, and at the same time it is also ours. My thought from before ended. A mystic like Angelus Silesius says, "And whoever gave birth to Christ 1,000 times in Bethlehem, and not in you, you still remain lost. It's about the birth of God in man." Mary also has a very important role in monasticism, because in Orthodoxy she is considered the Theotokos, i.e. the Mother of God. And ultimately people like C.G. Jung have long since recognized that she is actually something like that. That we see it as a form, that humanity's soul filled with love, i.e. actually the human soul that has come as a goal, as a development goal. And when we are full of love and the spirit is clear, from then on God is born in us, and you would find the incarnation of Jesus Christ 1,000 times great. If you did not notice that God is taking shape in you, you are the image of God. You are imegude, and not just ER. The incarnation continues in every single person. Of course also in the tree, and in the cat, but I would like to prepare a little bit of a special position for us. The first thing here is that God's presence becomes reflective in ourselves, and the goal is that we are first perceivers. Then you will realize that ultimately everything is pure information. In a very high state, when you liquefy yourself as a mystic, you will notice that the identification with this visible body is almost arbitrary, because if you let go of all these lower levels of identity, not forever, but just to enjoy a little freedom from the form, then you notice that when you look at a cat, you become one with the cat. You merge and read, literally extracts the information from the cat. Then there is still this subject-object separation, but there is a level that you realize everything you let go of, you look at. That's what you become. When you look at a tree, you are the tree. And it's just an arbitrary one, because we see this body in the mirror every morning, hold it up there and say, this is me and the other is not me. So it's a good thing that we exclude ourselves, because if you're too open, the Danube wave gets mixed up with the Black Forest Kirsch. That's not fun either. So it's nice to taste this and that. It's like our game piece, a working level that's also fun, but it doesn't have to be a prison. Of course, animal communication also works at such levels. But at the highest level you realize there is actually just one great consciousness. And with every thought you create shapes. And from then on you take responsibility. And then you understand why for the monks the level of thought is the most important. The battle with thoughts, These are aberrations. Crash courses are often included in mystic seminars. I say that in a false form of thought. There is a poop mold and a baking mold. And please, when you say that God only ever sends me dog poop, choose a different thought form. So he sends you the unformed beneath your thought. Do you pour the general cake batter into a mold? If you let it dry out in the oven at high heat, you'll say it's dog poop again. Then I would say, take a baking pan, like we did with butterflies, flowers. I don't know what boys would bake. It's another football cake. I would have equal rights here again. Once you have understood that, I am the creator of the world, by allowing the unformed to be formed through my thoughts, and by now directing my attention to it a lot, it is until when the power, even historical events, manifest themselves. And from there it stops, this subject-object split. Why did God send me? You will notice that you are God coming to self-confidence. Now, fortunately it's not about me from now on. Shit, I'm Christ. I have to save the world. I have to be a cross. Because the story of suffering that every person has to go through unconsciously because they don't have the operating instructions for hearing is to be crucified. So there is no more hell. There really is no other hell than this, not really knowing who you are, to, my God, I am God. But then not in such an egocentric sense, but then they come to see the divine in all things and beings, everywhere in a different form. Don't just look, feel it by giving it an A rating. This is a very loving form of communication. From then on, you don't really feel like being hostile to anything anymore, and you start to discover beauty in everything. But to do this, you first have to get rid of all these everyday worries and these belittling thoughts. Otherwise, you will just discover the pain that you carry around with you everywhere.